On we move then to the Cathedral of Speed, away from the Algarve International Circuit in Portugal and over to the TT Assen. Welcome to the Dutch round of the World Superbikes in 2025. And we are green, green, green. The lights are on and the 45-minute first practice session is underway here for the TT here in Assen. And the bikes will head out onto the circuit. Let's see what they've got to offer then in what is going to be a very interesting weekend. Back to the race one last time out as well. Top Rack, then Bulliger, then Top Rack. It was all fantastic, wasn't it? How much of a battle they had. Here's your tyre allocation for round 3 then as well. The SC1 and the SC2 tyres on your front. Your rear tyre, however, the SCQ, the SCX and the SCO. The SCX, of course, is the development tyre. 6 left-hand turns, 12 right-hand turns, a total of 18 in total here at Assen. And they are out on the circuit, as you can see below. The riders will make their way out and over, and the session is go. Let's check in as we see Alex Lowe's heads out on the Bitmoto Kawasaki, the 34-year-old who crashed out last time in Portugal. Let's check in there with TNT.
Tyre, it can just wear it out pretty quickly, because usually with a Pirelli rear tyre, or with Pirellis in general, the colder the racetrack, the better the lap time that you can get. They actually like it, but because of the amount of grip that you do have, it can just wear away the degradation of the rubber on the tyre there. Petrucci here just on screen, that's Ryan Vickers as well, number 17 in front of him. And that's Petrucci just going underneath at turn 7. Petrucci third in the championship, let's not forget. 1 point ahead of Alvaro Bautista, so it's been a good start for Danilo. And Ryan Vickers here, as you can see, number 17. It's been a bit of a mixed bag. I think he's crashed most sessions so far, so he's got to be careful of that, not to knock his confidence, because the one thing that you do need as a rookie is to keep that confidence in there from the year. You've come to World Championships because you've done well in the National Championships, which you did. But to keep the confidence, you've got to stay on the bike and just start chipping away at those results.
And that's something Iker Lecuona will definitely want to do. He made his return in Portugal last time out. He's on the factory Honda. Right behind him is Scotland's Tara McKenzie, former BSB champion, of course, on the MIE Honda. Having a look at him, the main difference between these bikes, apart from the obvious with the different colours, the different liveries, is the suspension. The factory bike this year is back on Olin suspension, and Tasmac's MIE, the turquoise machine, is on Showa suspension. But this is the man who's had 7 podium finishes here at the Cathedral, including his first 2. That's a large lens, sir, as you look across from the grandstand. And it's Chippy who's looking on. He's one of our professional photographers here in the paddock, and there's already some drama going on as Bahatin Sofoglu goes underneath Domi Agata. But the crowd will be watching on this weekend for Michael van der Mark. 7 times on the podium, including his first 2 on the Honda back in 2015. But he's yet to win. In fact, no Dutch rider has yet won a World Superbike race here at Assen, would you believe? And we've been coming here since 1992.
Wow, what a stat that is. Yeah, van der Mark, because it was tricky conditions in the wet in qualifying last year. Van der Mark was down in 13th, and he clawed his way back up inside the top 7, 9th in that second race, but it was a tricky weekend. He made a couple of mistakes, I remember. He went wide at the last chicane on one lap in one of the races, so it was a bit of a mixed bag for the Dutch rider, but fingers crossed. He didn't have too bad a run now in Portugal. This is Jason O'Halloran again, subbing for Jonathan Ray.
Racelink isn't working for the GPS.
In Portugal, not easy to jump on a factory Yamaha with the electronics and get the results, but we wish Jason O'Halloran a better weekend in Assen. I'm sure he's done a lot more laps around this track than he did in Portugal. Garrett Gerloff here on the Pacetti, the Soul Pacetti Kawasaki. Where is Garrett Gerloff? He's had an awful start with the consistency of the Kawasaki. He obviously broke down a couple of times in Australia, 2 retirements in the first 2 races, and then only just inside the points, a couple of 12ths in Portimao. So it's not the start for the Texan that he was hoping for on the factory Kawasaki, I'm sure.
This is a replay of Buliga just a moment ago down into the Harbosch, which is turn 1, and a big early morning wake-up call there for Niccolo Buliga.
Yeah, classic here at Assen, especially if the wind's behind you. The wind is not too breezy out there. I noticed when I was walking across the paddock, but there's his scarf keeping his neck warm. He'll need that because it is chilly. That wind chill is really cold here at this weekend. Just a bit of a weather forecast that Greg did today. We are expecting some rain possibly on Sunday, not tomorrow, so it's going to be possibly a mixed bag of the results like we saw last year. Let's not forget the Nicolo Spinelli. Oh, that's Javier Vieja.
Vieja's gone
he's
down,
got some,
yeah.
Technical problems with the bike. Doesn't look like he's been off. Just looks like he's had an electrical problem there and the bike stopped.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the Struben, which is the long, never-ending left-hander, rather, onto the Weinschlang, the back straight, and like you say, he stopped. Luckily for him, that's probably the best place that could have happened, because it's just at the back of the paddock there, turn 5, so you've got a series of 4 right-handers at the beginning of the lap, and then the Struben brings you back towards the back end of the circuit, so he's just at the back of the paddock. He can wheel that bike onto the service road, and his mechanics would have seen that on the TV, as we all have, and they'll be with him in just a couple of minutes' time, I'm sure. Now, here's Zakwan Zaidi. Talk about a baptism of fire, James. I mean, he did no pre-season testing. He comes from the nation of Malaysia, as you can see on the flag there, 29 years of age. But no pre-season testing because he had to send his passport off to get a visa for Australia. So while he didn't have a passport, he couldn't travel to Jerez and Portimao to do his January testing. Then he had an off early doors in Australia, hardly did the test there. So he's having to test in the practice sessions and learn all these European circuits at the same time. It's a nightmare for Zaidi.
Yeah, it is. It just shows you the quality of World Superbikes at the minute as well, because he's won Asian Superbike Championship races, Japanese Superbike Championship races as well. And they are not easy championships to win races at, I can tell you. We know the history of, remember, the Okada, Tamada, all of those amazing wild cars actually won World Superbike races when the World Superbikes went to places like Sugo, Suzuka, etc. So I just want to say how it's doing a good job, but it just shows you just how tough it is, especially with the depth of field that we have. I was giving you a name here, but the Barney Sparks, Stanley Petrucci. What about Nicola Spinelli in race 1 last year? What a result that was for this team.
Oh, it was magical, wasn't it? Of course, this man was out last year here. He'd just had that awful crash that so nearly took his life doing motocross back in Italy, and Spinelli stepped in and he won, didn't he? He won his very first race.
And that was his first race in Superbikes as well, wasn't it?
It was his first race, yeah.
First race as a rookie, went out and won.
In fact, you've just reminded me, thank you for mentioning that, because that was a little challenge I was going to throw at everyone today, and we'll come back to this later, but there are, including Spinelli, 8 riders have won on their debut. Now, one of them obviously was Davide Tardozzi in the very first World Superbike race, so can you name any of the others? Get in touch on social media, Bikes on TNT, and also James M. Tozen and Greg Haynes TV. So the question is, how many riders have won their first World Superbike race? Tardozzi was one in the very first race, Spinelli was another, but there's another 6. Can you name them? And I'll give you a clue. 2 of them are on the current grid. What about Scott Redding? Didn't win his first race, but certainly had a brilliant first season and pushed Jonathan Ray all the way to Estoril at the end of 2020. And I tell you what, he's on great form this weekend. We were walking in from the car park this morning and he pulled his van in front of us and was pretending to be all angry, and then we saw him burst out laughing behind the wheel. A nice interview with him as well. A bit of a set 2 with Bautista though, James, a couple of weeks ago after that collision.
It was turn 4, Portimao. They just turned in, and I believe they kind of just wanted the same part of the racetrack as they went from turn 3 to turn 4.
Yeah, there was a slight contact between the two. I think it's a nicer way of putting things at the moment. But it all seemed to recover quite well. Back to the boys.
Results there, but only just inside the points at Portugal. So Scott, here at Assen, he loves his track. So I'm sure he'll be having some great results here. Bautista, though, I'm really, really interested to see how he does. He's leading so far, as you can see. He's doing the best sector as Gem. So I think the memories of what happened last year it's now necessary to start beating his teammates, isn't it? It's becoming obvious to Ducati, with the price difference as how expensive Bautista is and Nicolo Bulega is, it's becoming a little bit obvious that they can start to put their eggs in the basket of Nicolo Bulega and not trust Bautista already.
Yeah, worrying times for Bautista. He statistically is the most successful rider on the grid this weekend, of course, with Jonathan Rea 17 times a winner. As you touched on before, James, no rider has won more races on a single track than Jonathan Rea's 17 here at Assen, and second best is Jonathan Rea again, 13 at Portimao, where we've just been 2 weeks ago. So sadly, missing two of his best and favourite venues. But Bautista's won here 7 times. Here he is, including winning both races, and I say both because we only had 2 in his first season of 2019. One of them was cancelled, if you remember, because of the snow. Over the line we go with Bautista on a 35.3. Just to put things into perspective, the race lap record is a 33.6. The practice record on qualifying tyres is a 32.9, so we're still 2 or 3 seconds off that, and he's really on it, isn't he, already? What he does not want to do this weekend, Bautista, is what he did a couple of years ago. Remember, he did a qualifying lap and then was coasting on the line after his run and got penalised. He had a grid drop because he held up Tommy Agata. Now, we'll continue on Discovery Plus. We'll take a quick pause.
And while they do that, we'll hand over to the world feed.
So before the beginning of the summer, to be 90% sure about what's going on. So the sooner is better, but as I said, we have no rush. So we will take our time, a few weeks or a couple of months or so.
And of course, would the contract be 2-year contract or 1+1?
It depends. Talking about Nicolo, it could be 2. Of course, that is pretty normal. But as a plan B, could be 1+1.
And of course, Alvaro as well. There's he's been saying that he doesn't feel ready to retire. We've seen him saying. Can you just tell us when we might expect to hear about his decision and how happy you'd be to continue with him for 2026?
Yeah, about Alvaro, the first question is to see if he's gonna have fun again with the bike, because as you know, and as he told many times, the feeling on the bike for him is very, very important to take the decision if to carry on or not. He's on a good path so far. So starting from Australia, despite a little bit of issues during the race, but he's quite feeling good on the bike. And if there is this feeling, then we can talk about the future.
And will we maybe have to wait until the test with the new Panigale to decide whether he will continue or not?
No, usually as a policy, we want to be sure first that the rider is gonna stay and then work on the new bike, because it doesn't make sense to work on a new bike with a rider that you are not sure will stay or not. So let's say renewal first, and then we will focus on the new bike with the riders, so we will be sure to have.
Stefano, thank you very much and all the best for the weekend.
Thank you very much.
Nice to hear there as well from down in the pit lane, as we've got Remy Gardner looking a bit stronger as well now out here on the monitors. We've got finally got our monitors back up and running. This will flash up. So Gardner goes top, 135.083 for Remy. Nicola Bullago in second, Evio Bautista, then Alex Lowe's, Andrea Locatelli, Dominic Agata, Andrea Iannone, Scott Redding, all starting to come up in that mix as well. Bautista's got the fastest sector times in sectors 1, 2 and 3. So has Nicola Bullaga. Will we see a time differential between them over the line? Here comes Bautista. And second fastest. Okay, 2 tenths up, but it was a 10th down on Gardner's time. Yeah, it's 0.154, the differential, as you can see on your screen. Just been told by JT there's been 30 minutes of no cars on track in Formula 3 as well. That was slightly kind of predictable, I'm afraid. Let me know, by the way, back home, is there an issue with the display? Oops. Well, I wish I knew I could have done that. Adjust the size of the display. That would have come in handy. Yeah, I don't know why there's a little bit of a True Tone thing. Hang on a minute. Let me try and see if I can remove it. That's quite weird. Oh, I do apologise if it looks a bit yellow, the driver tracker. I think the map book might need a restart. after what we've done. It's brand new, but it could still need issues. Top back Rasgalioli then, 19th at the moment, fastest. He'll continue with time off in that first sector. Let's have a look there, he was 19th. And he's 0.136 down in the first sector. Second sector, 0.124, and a further 0.3 down. Computer's estimated to go fourth. Bautista, however, goes top, 134.679. A much better lap time then coming through for him. Top Rat coming over shortly. Let's see what he's going to have to gamble with. Never argue with Top Rat Rasgalioli is what we found here at the moment. He's still on a much better time. Goes third fastest, 134.933 with 30 minutes to go here, the opening session. So you can join us again later on, by the way. Here on JB Motorsports 2, we've got the MotoGP Qatar first practice session. And then after that, we've got World Superbikes on at the same time, if I'm not very much mistaken. Oh, yep, right, first time. The World Feed will be taking you through that one via up here in the comm box as well, so that's going to be a lot of fun. Two different things at once. Hey, we're getting used to it now. It's a busy weekend, 46 streams across the JB Motorsport network this week. As we look at Locatelli going into fourth on a 135.054 on the Yamaha. Nicolo Bulliger is quick in the first sector, up by 0.031. Ryan Vickers in 17th improves. Here's Yari Montella, no time set at the moment for him, but computer's still estimated to go 20th fastest at the moment in split number 2 and 3. So the time will continue to tick in. Right, let's head back to TNT.
The second time. He's previously done one lap in this session, but not actually put a time in. So Montella went out earlier on, did one lap, back in the pit, so he's now out for the first time on his first flying lap. But this is a 45-minute session, so Montella, who was third overall in Supersport with a load of wins last year, just missed out on the championship to Huertas and Manzi. But Montella has lost a quarter of an hour of practice time already this morning due to some sort of technical problem by the looks of it. But these Ducatis are going well, aren't they? And I think I completely agree with you, James. This is a really important weekend. That intra-team battle between Bautista and Bulliger. Bautista, he's not, I mean, we keep saying this, he's not yet out-qualified Bulliger. Since they became teammates last year, it's 14-0 in Bulliger's favour.
It's going to be, I think it's going to be a wonderful battle this year. We've got 3 riders at the minute that are looking like they consistently could be battling at the front with that Bautista, Bulliger and Toprak. Bautista was just slightly behind the curve, wasn't he? That's the fuel limits that we've just been speaking about, obviously 0.5 of a kilogram per hour. So we'll see. I'll be interested to see what this Ducati does rev to now. There's no limits to revs. Obviously it was about 500 or 600 more revs than this BMW that you're on with Toprak Razgatlioglu, even when the rules were instated last year. So that was just over 16.1 thousand revs per minute. It's absolutely incredible, the performance. This is Phil just talking. I was just trying to see what he was saying, but something was a waste of time, but I'm not sure what it was. But yeah, I think this is going to... Top Rat's going to have to ride out this skin this weekend to stay with the Ducatis, and I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah, it's not his best track. He's had one win here, and BMW's had one win here, and that was race 2 for this brilliant combination last year. We're here at just about the same time of the year, which is different to Portimao and different to Cremona, so a different look to the calendar this season. But Assen, one of the few venues that's actually in the same slots, round 3 here at the beginning of April. Toprak, as you saw there, going fastest on a 34.5, and it's already that familiar order of Assen. It's Toprak leading, Bulliger second, Bautista is third, then it's Locatelli, Gardner going well, and so is Agata. So that's interesting. We've got Yamahas 4th, 5th and 6th. I know it's early in the weekend, but it's good to see the Yamahas up there. Here they come, do that last chicane. Domi Agata, 77. Used to race the number 7 because his dad was a big Barry Sheene fan, and of course back in 1973 we had that amazing finish here when Barry Sheene and Phil Reed crossed the line side by side. And as James said earlier on, we are celebrating 100 years of the Dutch TT It's 70 years of this particular track and 100 years for the event itself, the Dutch TT. It all started on the roads of Rolder, which is just a few kilometres up the road from here. But what a track that was, James. Part of it was asphalt, part of it was gravel roads, and it was a 28.4 kilometre blast through the Dutch countryside, past houses, past barns, between trees. Not quite what we see these days, apart from the Isle of Man, I guess.
It's just spectacular, and I was very, very fortunate to ride the original track before this, which had a very, very different first section, arguably one of the most fun sections of any track that I have ridden. Assen's still Assen, but if you were fortunate enough to ride the old Assen, it really was truly spectacular. You went straight down in the old track. You didn't come around this first corner that we're on board with Top Rack here. This is turn 1, turn 2. Down to up to third gear before you go into this long double apex turn 3 and 4. Go wide slightly in the middle up, then come back onto the apex again, turn 4, before you brake heavily first gear into this turn 5 hairpin left-hander, before you step it up first, second, third, fourth, all the way to 5th gear down this back straight here. This is kind of similar to what the original track was before you go through this turn 6, 7. Look at that, the speed that you clip that curve before you throw it left. Wonderful positive camber for you before you exit this corner. This is turn 8 now as you come through this right hand. Again, positive camber, run it through, keep the corner speed through, exceed all the track limits that you can to get the momentum on the exit of the corners. This turn 9, left-hander, again, step it back up, not going too wide because you've got to come back again for this double apex right-hander here. Wonderful part of the track, this turn 11. As you fire it out here, but watch this next corner as you come through here, 3rd, 4th gear, all the way through that, and the bike goes absolutely sideways before you slingshot it to this penultimate corner here. Long left-hander, wait for the apex to come back for you. Get on the gas. There's a pit lane exit entrance, before you get into this final chicane. Second, right, left, right again. Get it across the start and finish line, and that is why they call it the Cathedral of Speed.
What a glorious sound, what glorious sights there. James Tozen, masterclass around Assen, on board with the reigning Superbike world champion, both of whom, of course, having won for 2 different manufacturers. Now, here's Sven Blush, the head of BMW Motorrad Motorsport. His dad's not on the best health at the moment, and I know he's in hospital, and Sven was talking to us about that yesterday. So, Sven, we send you all the best, and your dad as well, back at home, and I know he's in a good now, and everything's under control, so we send him our love. But this is Top Rack just a moment ago through the superb section, the Ruston Hook at turn 6 and 7. After the back straight, you've gone down the back of the paddock, through the right, through the left, and that BMW really sparkling as well, isn't it, with the livery this year?
Yeah.
This is just comparing a few of the styles. You see the heat as well coming out of the exhaust there at the back of the Beamer, and now he's tipping it right into the Steckenball at turn 8. Let's compare him with Buliger.
Yeah, nice styles there. Buliger kind of sat in the middle of the bike before he just twists his head to look for that exit, and where you look, you go. And that was a really nice example of when Buliger was just getting to the middle of the corner, his head just tilted just to look where he was wanting to go on the exit, because when you open the throttle on these superbikes with over 200 brake horsepower, when you open it, it goes where you point it. And look at Bautista with one finger on the front brake lever. That's a style that he's always had since the 250 days. And look at the angle of his left wrist there, just to get his arm down where the elbow nearly touches the floor. Wonderful slow-mos.
Talking about Top Rack Rascolioni over the line, 134.652. He's 96 thousandths down his own best time, but he's still improving upon everybody. Buliger 0.084 off the pace as well. We've got a new battle screen for this one. I hope you enjoy it, with the rider tracker involved as well with the screen, so that it's not just a time monitor, so when it works, we have rider tracker available to you at home as well. Agata coming in looking strong. Yeah, middle sector still up and down a bit, but Top Rack on top here at the moment with some absolutely fantastic times. You can't deny absolute stellar runs happening at the moment as we're getting towards the business end of practice 1.
We are track temperature at 16 and the air's at 12. So, but it's the wind, isn't it? The wind feels very chilly here in Holland.
It does, yeah. We're sat here now with our jumpers on, and if you're in the sun, it's okay, but it's very chilly, as James says, out there in the shade. Filippo Conti again, plenty of chats going on here. That's Andrea Dossoli from Yamaha on the left-hand side of your screen, and it's that time of year now. As I say, we're already a quarter of the way through the season at the end of this weekend. And there are lots of meetings going on in the paddock in terms of next year and riders and rider managers and the future of the championship itself. There were some big meetings going on at Portimao a couple of weeks ago with officials from the FIM, the governing body of motorcycle racing, and Dorna Sports, the Madrid and Barcelona-based commercial rights holder. And incidentally, it sounds as though things are looking good now for the Liberty Media deal as well, because we know that's going through the various departments with the EU and the Monopolies Commission and all sorts of different places there. But it sounds as though we might be getting some news as soon as May, if not June. And that really could change the face of motorcycle racing, MotoGP in particular, but also World Superbikes, as those who run Formula One take control of bike racing as well over the next few years. There's Tasmac, where is he? Up into 15th place. That is not bad going at all. Remember, we spoke to him in the paddock last year, James, because he had that great performance, didn't he, in race 2 on the Sunday, on merit. He loves it here, and of course he knows the track from his BSB days as well. And don't forget, BSB are coming back to Assen later this season.
Yeah, Mackenzie was 14th in qualifying, and like you say, Greg, 11th in that race too. So brilliant result for the Scottish rider.
Okay, quick pause on TNT Sports. We continue on Discovery Plus.
And we'll hand down to the world feed.
Did they feel closer together?
For sure, if you penalize the first two brands, the gap to the other brands should be closer. The field could come a little bit more together. But we also have to think about the riders sitting on the bikes, about the race setup, the work all the mechanics and engineering are doing in the background. So I think still a good job done by every team can make a big difference. Everybody's pushing hard. The Red Boys, we are pushing hard. So I guess it will be a nice battle on the weekend again.
You're confident that it's not going to affect you too much. However, Ducati seem like they might not be quite as happy with that. Are you expecting them to have a bit more problem with the fuel flow limits?
Well, this I don't know, but honestly, as long as it's the same for both of us, it's fair play, and we are just concentrating on ourselves. We are racers, so you are never happy when you get a penalty, the riders at least. But yeah, just use the situation like it is, make the best out of it, and keep on fighting.
You're looking very relaxed in the garage right now. Best of luck for the rest of the weekend, Chris.
Thanks a lot.
Free practice one then with 19 minutes remaining, and top rank Razgat Fioglu went faster still while we were down with Liam, a 1 minute 34.467, then a 1:34.616. So this is going to be a great stint from top rank.
Yeah, and for Razgat, you'll end up where it should be probably coming into the pits now. There's be 10 laps into this stint. It looked like he went out, did a couple of installation laps at the start of the session, and then 10 laps now. So for Razgat last time round, it was another 34.6, so his consistency is right there as Alvaro Bautista gets ready to head out again. 20 minutes just under left in the session, and for Razgat, he's shown that he's got the speed, he's got the consistency, and the bike is working really well as usual from the base.
We shall see how that goes, though. We talk about, at least he's out now, and Bulliger's closer to him, I suppose, at the moment. That's TNT.
Championship. Sam, who had a strong outing last time out at Portimao. He has had a few incidents so far this season, but scored some decent points as well in Australia and at Portimao. He's had 10th, 5th, 6th. Great start. And then that crash at Portimao race 1, followed by 6th place in the Superpole race and 11th in race 2, which of course is the second of the two long full distance races over a weekend. If you are joining us for the first time, welcome along to World Superbikes. We have 2 full-length races each weekend and 1 10-lap Superpole race. And unlike the sprint races in MotoGP, the Superpole race here in World Superbike is always 10 laps, regardless of the length of the circuit.
Jerry Montella obviously having a fabulous result in Supersport around this particular track, so don't be surprised once this lad gets up to speed. He's missed a lot of the session that Greg said. Don't be surprised if he's running deep inside the top 10. This could be into the top 15. It is 15th, 1.4 seconds off, and I'll keep my eye out on for the progress of Yari. Andrea Iannone, great start to the season. Obviously a bit of a retirement in the last race in Portugal, but sits in 6th. Promising. He was up there last year. I noticed inside the top 6. He crashed actually into turn 4 last year in one of the races, but let's expect good things from the Italian also.
Oh, And more problems out on track for Vierge's Honda. He stopped at turn 5 again, we're hearing. So don't be surprised to see number 97 in just a moment stopped again at the Strubben. Remember, James pointed that out earlier on. He pushed the bike across the track. It's just around here somewhere, so I don't think you'll see him unless when the camera pans around to the right, you just catch a glimpse of the Honda at the side of the track. It looks as though they've already cleared it, but Vierge, that is a bad start to the weekend for Xavi and the Honda. So once again, he's come out of the pits and the bike conked out, or something's gone wrong as we follow Bautista through the Ruston Hook, drop it down from 5th to 3rd gear through here, and now into the Steckenval, and you really are blasting out towards the Dutch countryside here. And then in a moment, you'll start winding your way back around the rapid section of corners James was describing before when we were on board with Toprak. So this is De Bolt, still heading out towards the countryside, and now we'll start navigating our way back down towards the pits and paddock complex. Out of Mandeveen, this is the Duke of Suits. This is Sam Lowe's now, just ahead of Bautista, through the Mavenmere, and look how quickly he's catching the Honda of Zakwan Zaidi.
We had a great finish last year in race 2 between Toprak Razgatlioglu and Alvaro Bautista. Hopefully we'll have a grandstand finish. Assen always provides us with such fabulous racing. I was watching a couple of the clips with Fogarty on the Castrol Honda, the RC45, just there, getting the better of a John Kaczynski on the Ducati, and also Troy Corser was close in that battle as well. That was 1996, that was, and Foggy got the double. I think he had three doubles, I think, in a row, 93, 4, 5, or no, 4, 5, 6, is it? No, 4 doubles, crikey. Yeah, Carl Fogarty is coming back into the paddock in BSB with his own Ducati race team. I wish him all the best with that. And Foggy was the king around this place. I think it's only Jonathan Ray that really supersedes him. He was absolutely fabulous.
Yeah, so I always remember Keith Hewen and Julian Ryder getting particularly excited on commentary back in the day with those Foggy wins, those glorious wins here at Assen, mostly, of course, on Ducatis, and as you say, that 96 season he did with Honda. Now, talking of Hondas, this is Vierge, as I say, he's just been back out. We've not seen it on screen, but it came up on our timing screen here in the commentary box that he's had a problem again. So Vierge at the moment is all the way down in 22nd place. How many laps has he actually done? As I look at the timing screen, number 97 has done only 2 laps so far. 1 out lap, 1 flying lap, and then he's done another 2 exits from the pits, but never made the end of the lap. So officially just 2 laps so far for Vierge, who's trying to stay as calm as he can as they get that bike sorted out. Redding on very good form, but he's yet to do a full race run with this bike. We had so much rain over the winter, and he knew we were going to have pit stop races in Australia, so he focused on short lap stints as opposed to full race runs. And then Portimao, of course, the 2 long races we had there. Incident with Bautista in the first one on lap 1. Second one was split up into 2 because of a red flag. So far, Scott Redding is yet to do anything like a full 21 or 22 full race run.
He's got 11th fastest though at the line right now after 12 laps. It's a 1:35.4 as the wind starts to billow. Hello, Sean. Says, hey, Josh, Jorge Martin is officially back this weekend in Qatar. Yeah, and first practice, me and Megan are going to be in the commentary box for it as well. We cannot wait to see what's going to happen then. It's going to be a very interesting session as Top Lap watches on and explains where the bike is best and where it's not best on our graphic up here in the commentary box as well. Let's have a quick replay then. This is him coming through. Oh, this is down at turn 11 and 12, isn't it? And there's a B that he hits in his head. That's through turn 12, yeah. And there was a small B that hit the top of the Red Bull part of the helmet, which I found quite funny to have that come through. 12 minutes to go then here. Toprak Razgatlioglu is fastest as things currently stand. And the battle still brewing on. And that is Bautista coming into the pit lane. And as well as Iannone. Bautista will complete his lap time and go top! 1:34.365. So Bautista, fastest of all by over a 10th. That's more like it, with Toprak going up. Bulliger's lap time down to 3rd. Didn't see if there was a lap time deleted by the stewards, though. Mark needs to bounce back. That crashing Kota from the lead so costly. Absolutely, because Alex Marquez now leads the championship.
I'm sure the viewers were watching that. and they were having the same reaction as I was like, oh, good Lord, the wheel spin through turn 2 into turn 3. Absolutely wonderful bike controls from Bautista.
I reckon we're going to see at least one Bautista win here this weekend. I really hope we do, and I think we will. It'll be great for the championship as well if we do.
Could be a triple. But he needs it, Greg, doesn't he? You know, obviously there's 29 points between Bulega and Toprak, but it's 52 points already, Bautista, off the lead of this championship. Yeah. So he needs to claw that gap back in before it gets beyond a certain point of reach where you start riding desperate again and the mistakes could creep in. Yeah,
and he's behind Petrucci as well by 1 point, isn't he? He's down in 4th in the championship, Bautista. Like you say, 52 behind the leader and 62 available over a full weekend, so that just puts things in perspective, doesn't it? Even if Bautista won all 3 races and Toprak didn't finish, Bautista would be ahead, but only by 10. That's the gap he is behind at the moment. And Gerloff here, well, they really do need and deserve a good weekend, don't they? His teammate, Jeremy Alcoba's been going very well in Supersport, but Garrett, as you said before, James, not too much luck yet on the Superbike as Petrucci jumps up from 10th position to 8th position. By the way, a shout out also on X, formerly known as Twitter, for a great answer here from Raceboy95. We were talking earlier on about riders who won on their debut, and you've got all of them, I can tell you, apart from one. You were close though, because Doug Poland did win in his 2nd race, but was disqualified in his 1st one. But the others, you've reeled them all off. Well done, Spinelli, Tardozzi, Buliga, Bautista, Biaggi, Kaczynski, Peter Goddard, and the only other one was Yuichi Takeda, who won as an 18-year-old on his debut at Sugo in Japan back in 1996. So well done there, and well done also then for World SBK on Instagram, hitting 6 million followers. Hashtag World SBK then for this weekend of racing. And don't forget, bikes on TNT Sports as well on social media to follow all of the latest from us here at Assen, and also, of course, Susie and the team over at La Salle for the Qatar Grand Prix. And, of course, Jorge Martin is back in action on the Aprilia. What do you make of it, James, with MotoGP? It's not going to be an easy time for Martin, but Marc Marquez has only won once in the MotoGP Premier Class in Qatar, and that was 2014 on the Honda. So I guess for Martin, coming back at a track which is not the strongest for Marquez has got to be a good thing.
I think that lucky win for Bautista the last time out in Texas could have just triggered a little bit of belief inside of him, just at this important point of going to tracks like Qatar, where he
Bagnaia,
is
not Bautista.
A challenge for Mark.
For Bagnaia, you mean, not Bautista?
Bagnaia, yeah. Sorry, I'm looking at the screen and getting confused of my factory Ducati riders. But yes, exactly that, Greg. Thanks for correcting us on that. And I'm really looking forward to seeing if Bagnaia can beat Marquez on the same bike, on the same track, on the same day, in the same conditions. Because at the minute, it's becoming a little bit obvious that Marc Marquez is a step above. And that's been a real damaging thing for Bagnaia's confidence. But look at that, through this fast corner here, turn 12 with Alvaro Bautista. He doesn't mind that rear end wagging all the way around this racetrack here, does he? He looks like he's having fun. It's been a long time since I've seen Bautista look like he's enjoying the bike, and that's Marco Zambenedetti, the technical coordinator at Ducati. Obviously, a bit of a wry smile on his face at this early part of the weekend, and I'm not surprised. It's 1-3 at the minute.
Oh,
I'll tell you what, though, it's all right going in, out, but going in still needs a bit of work.
Yeah, you can actually hear the reaction from the Ducati garage there in the background as we watched, and this man was watching that as we were. They get the same pictures in the garages as we do at home.
But Jorge Martin back, great news. We want to see the number one, like we got the number one here in Superbikes with Toprak. We can't wait to see the number one on that Aprilia, because that Aprilia, with that livery, with that number one, looks absolutely beautiful. And I can't wait for the World Championship to be back on track with them all.
This is a good run for Jari Montella after missing the first 15 minutes of the session. We're into the last 8 minutes now, and if he keeps up this sort of pace, he might just scrape into the top 10 as teammate to Petrucci at Barney Spa Ducati. What's he done? 15th. He's lost some time in that last sector, but he's just building gradually now as he learns Assen on a Superbike. Now, James, talking of Superbikes, back in the British Championship, we've had a message in on social media. This is on X from Alistair Town, and he said, question for the Assen weekend, and this is a good one perhaps for you, James, and it's relating to, as I've now accidentally hit the wrong button on my phone and gone onto the other screen, so I'm going to go back to that.
You don't want to repeat that one I've just seen, Greg?
Yeah, that's you cheeky. Right, here we go. Alistair Town, let's move on quickly. question for the Assen weekend. With the OMG situation, of course, this is the dramatic news that OMG have pulled out, of course. Brad Ray and Kyle Ryde are looking for rides at the moment. Could they not be considered as a stand-in for Jonathan Ray? Brad Ray particularly, of course, having ridden in the series. So what do you reckon? I mean, good luck to everybody involved, by the way, at OMG. Let's hope everybody finds employment for the season ahead, not just the riders, but everybody else as well. But yeah, I mean, would you bring maybe Kyle Ryde or Brad Ray in particular after his Moto X season last year into Pata Yamaha?
You know, Jason O'Halloran's come in. He hasn't got the pace. He's 3.4 seconds off. You know, if you're over 3 seconds off, you can't really develop the bike further. Even if you put new parts on, it's impossible for a rider to say if it's better or not, because when you're 3.5 seconds off, everything works okay. You know, you're not really pushing the bike to its limits to where you can develop it. So I'm feeling a little bit for the Yamaha team. And Bradley Ray would have done a better job than Jason. Kyle Ryde, I'm not so sure, because, you know, we saw him in Jerez. You know, struggling, but he was within 3 seconds for sure. So Kyle would have been quicker than Jason, I'm sure, as well. But I think with Brad's experience on a Superbike, it would have been better for Yamaha to put him on to be able to develop the bike and push it on a little bit, ready for Jonathan coming back. And also, Bradley Ray had a couple of years on a pretty uncompetitive bike, let's be honest. But those top 6 results that he had at Imola and another place was really, like, showed the potential that he could be competitive here. And I feel for Brad, because I feel that he didn't get the opportunity that he deserved to try and be competitive at this level. And just a gift from Yamaha to say, OK, sorry about how it all turned out, but have a go on Jonathan's bike, see how close you can get to Locatelli, bring the bike on for us, and, you know, let bygones be bygones a little bit.
Thank you also to Stefan Lloyd-Bowen. Morning, Stefan, who points out that Fogarty actually had 5 doubles here. He had 4 successive doubles, 3, 4, 5 and 6. And then you've mentioned 98. It was actually 99, wasn't it? His 5th double here, because 98 was the year when Keeley won race 1, Foggy won race 2. Keeley crashed at the last chicane when they were side by side. And then, of course, James, we had the infamous dressing gown confrontation in the press conference.
Well, yeah, it was actually outside as well, wasn't it? Where the paddock, because the old podium positions were kind of on the floor back in the day. You used to walk to it on the ground. And yes, Pier Francesco Keeley, bless him, he wasn't very happy about the situation, and he crashed just here all those years ago. And he thought that Foggy just had something to do with it, which I'd have to say in Foggy's defence, he didn't really. But yeah, Keeley didn't think the same, and got his dressing gown on, and thought he was going to get in the face of Carl Fogarty and wag his finger. And I think Carl Fogarty, from memory, he just reminded him what position he'd finished with his right hand. I think that's what he was doing.
And for anybody who's wondering why Frankie Keeley decided to charge up to his teammate and rival with a dressing gown on, it's not because he felt he'd look bigger and harder with a dressing gown. He just got out of the shower following his post-race debrief. So
even the cold shower didn't sort him out, did it? Obviously.
The good old days of 1998. But yeah, it's just, there always seems to be drama here. Remember the... Oh dear, just had a terrible pun from our producer, Martin Cross. He was literally debriefed. Yes, very good, Martin. Very good, but some memorable Assen moments. Remember the Steve Webster, Tony Hewitt moment with the sidecar, that massive crash they had. We mentioned before, Phil Reed and Barry Sheen side by side over the line.
Is that where the plastic went on his face?
That was trash? Another one. I think that was Steinhausen, wasn't it, with a sidecar, and they ended up crashing. The Webster one, they went right down the ditch and into the water. It was a horrible crash.
Yeah, we had the Crocodile Gate, didn't we?
Yes, with Top Rat.
The bloke crocodile a couple of years ago.
I think that's still hanging up, actually. We're commentating here in the TV compound, and next to us is the Dorna TV truck. And I went in there a year or so ago, and that crocodile was hanging up above all the TV monitors. Somebody got it. Yeah, a blow-up green children's inflatable crocodile blew across the track in front of Top Rat Razgatlioglu's Yamaha here a couple of years ago.
Can I ask? I was thinking, what was it doing in the track in the first place?
I don't know.
Was Troy Corser still driving, or was it for Remy Gardner, maybe? Because
that's a good one.
Obviously, Troy Corser and Remy Gardner have got the crocodile logo on their helmet, so it must have been something to do with that. Other than that, I don't know what a blow-up crocodile would be doing at Assen's Circuit.
Well, if anyone's with us and you can claim any possession of the crocodile? If you've got a crocodile you had here at Assen and you've lost one and you want it back, we know where it is. If it's still in the Dorna truck, that is. Anyway, Bautista fastest. He's a 10th ahead of Toprak. Then it's Buliga. Iannoni's moved up to 4th. Top independent rider. Of course, he's looking to catch Petrucci, isn't he, for leadership of the Independence Championship. Petrucci's got the edge there at the moment. He's 16 points ahead of Iannoni. Petrucci for Barney and Iannoni for Go 11, the yellow banana, as I sometimes call it. What about Bassani? Comfortably, actually, the top Bimotor rider at the moment in the championship after the disastrous weekend that Alex Lowe's had. It all unravelled with that crash, didn't it, in qualifying last time out. And at the moment, as James just points out on the timing screen, Alex Lowe's is 10th.
And Sam Lowe's as well, down there as well, in the back of the field, so not really going well. Alex 10th, Sam's in 11th, and that's Sam comes across the line now and stays in 11th position. Okay, quickly from Sean, as we've got a minute to go. Former Mercedes aerodynamicist Giacomo Rino, who left Mercedes in May last year, Simon Aston Martin as chief aerodynamicist and started working with the team since March. Fantastic news for them, well alongside Adrian Newey. And he asked, do you think we will see someone else battling for the win outside of Buliga and Razgaliola this weekend? In all honesty, I think we've got a very, very good chance, as lap time cancelled for exceeding track limits for that of Sam Lowe's. I think we've got a very good chance of Bautista having a run this weekend. It's his type of circuit and he looks good, especially after his opening sessions. I think he's got a good strategy ahead of him. We'll see how that turns out, though, overall for the rest of the weekend. Checkered flag is out. And the session is over. There we go. Just wondering why my microphone was peaking there. There we go. Okay, so checkered flag is out then. Session's over. Bautista's improving in that first sector as well, so we'll see if he's got any time to find. He's up still, 0.01 as you see. So there are still some benefits. I wonder if he's just going to go faster to Spiteful. Toprak was in the pits. Van der Mark in 6th position as well. Locatelli stays in position. Petrucci, Lowe's and Lowe's, and then Sofagulu, Hallow and Vieje, and Zahadi as well, all down there, have already taken the flag. Bautista left up at the moment. Now, is he going to be faster than a current best time? 1:34.365. He's got traffic, though, over the line coming from the 17 of Ryan Vickers. Bautista 4/10 down, lost in that last sector due to Vickers getting in the way. So Bautista's last lap time 1:34.755. Still a good competitive time. We've seen that go through, but still he's a 10th faster. So it's Bautista, Toprak, Buliga, Iannoni, Agata, your top 5 at the end of the first practice session for the Superbikes here at the TT Assen. Let's head down over then as well. As the flag is out for every rider, let's head down and pick up with the world feed.
Free practice 2 for the Superbikes, and then more Superpole action for World Supersport and the Women's World Championship starting their 2nd season after Ana Carrasco won it in 2024. Maria Herrera there this year, and watch out for the Brits as well, Chloe Jones and Jamie Hanks-Elliott. We wish you all the best. So, Toprak, is this a damage limitation weekend, James? Is this going to be one of those ones where if he has to settle for a 2nd or a 3rd, he's going to? I know he wants the wins, but he's not going to do anything silly, is he? If he needs to settle for a 2nd, I'm sure he will.
It will be down to who can look after the tyres tomorrow in race 1, and then Sunday could be wet. Yeah. So I haven't got a clue what the new BMW is like in the wet yet. We've not seen it, have we? So I'm yet to see how consistent Toprak can be in those conditions. But I would say it's definitely advantage Ducati at this point in the weekend. But Álvaro Bautista, the best of them at the minute in first place, but only one. I tell you, there's only half a second covering the top 7, so it's very close.
Very close, isn't it? 1/10 between 1st and 2nd. Look at those margins. At the moment, you've got 1.5 seconds covering 4 times about 17th place. It's as close as you like. Problems for some further back.
Yeah, it's going to be a weird day and a weird session overall. Hopefully it gets sorted ASAP here from the results. We shall be back, because that is on the wrong orbit camera. That's Portimao, not the TT Assen that we wanted to have open as well. And apparently it's not going to be there. Okay, well, this might have to do with Algarve. We'll be back later on then for all the action as well. Not for Portimao, but for the Algarve. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.